Okay, to make even my last video much clearer, somebody asked me whether or not they can ferment garlic. And I remember when I first started the protocol, when I first started exploring creating the chili juice, I was fermenting pickles and I was adding in garlic and peppercorns and all this stuff. And garlic and peppercorns, which is basically pepper, are a conglomeration of heavy metals. When you actually break it down to its elemental composition, they are major heavy metals. And so even if you use salt, you're still getting a higher dose because there's still trace minerals in the salt. So you get not only the sodium and the chloride, but you're also getting all the trace minerals in the pink Himalayan salt. And then if you're going to be fermenting pepper and garlic and anything else that is highly pungent, like habanero peppers or anything like that, now you're having more of an imbalance of more heavy metals / trace minerals. It's going to cause more of an imbalance. And then, yes, if you're creating lactobacillus too, as well, lactic acid, then now you have all this acid. So now you have another acid drink. You have the minerals, the spices and the minerals are all basically heavy metals. And then you have the lactic acid because you're fermenting the garlic or any other spicy stuff. So now you have an acid drink. You ferment with fruit and sugar, another acid drink. What's the balancing force in between the minerals and the lactic acid and the sugars and the lactic acid? Oh, it's the sodium chloride. The salt is the balancing force. Salt is in everything. It's in the mountains, it's in the ocean, it's in your dirt, it's in your body, it's in your sweat, it's in your tears, it's in your dogs and your cat. But we have then people who are mineral deficient, electrolyte deficient, sodium deficient. They have hyponatremia. Okay? And so this is why you don't, that's why I point out the specific spices that we don't eat on the Jilly Juice protocol, because you already have a heavy metal toxicity. You already have heavy metal imbalances or trace mineral. Heavy metals and trace minerals are basically the same thing. Okay? It's all trace minerals. What makes them heavy is the fact that you are harboring so much crap inside of you because of your sluggish system that you have caused imbalances. And then fermenting on top of that, now you're going to get all this lactic acid as a byproduct of lactobacillus. So now you have an acid drink with drinking fermented garlic or drinking garlic and vinegar and pickles. So people say, oh yeah, drink pickle juice, you know, because that's so great. That's lactic acid plus fermented ethanol plus then all the heavy metals. That's another poison in of itself. They say, oh yeah, you detox with pickle juice. Yeah, you're poisoning your system. Your body has no choice but to purge because it's freaking poison. Okay? If you really want to balance out your body to then get rid of any excess antibodies, excess heavy metals, excess fungus, excess parasites, then you take a biochemistry that allows your body to do what it's supposed to do. You take a chemistry, a chemical conglomeration, which is the Jilly Juice, and it then allows your biochemistry to do what it needs to do to keep the balance within. You can't control that freaking process. Okay, so again, you're seeing that we need lactic acid, but too much of it causes issues. And then you pair heavy metals, which is basically in these pungent spices. So cinnamon is a heavy metal. Okay, go look in your spice cabinet. When you eat habanero peppers, serrano peppers, jalapenos, those are massive amounts of like heavy metals. Okay, when you're doing the turmeric, anything that is so spicy where people are taking as a remedy for all of their cancer, disease, and chronic illness, or they're flavoring their food, and you're taking it as a remedy for your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and then you're fermenting it on top of that, creating the byproduct of lactic acid from the lactobacillus through fermentation, that's an acidic drink, that's an acid drink. No different than doing alkaline type of lifestyle. Lemons, is no different when you're doing mass amounts of lemon juice, even in small amounts. That's why we don't have lemons on the protocol. Because I know people go overboard with lemons, they go overboard with limes, they go overboard with jalapenos, they go over. See, that's why I highlight why the diet is so bland. Because any major amount of flavoring that's so overpowering is contributing to your heavy metal toxicity, because there's so many minerals in those specific types of food. So this is really intuitive, though I didn't articulate it well in the beginning, but I knew my gut knew what was going to be detrimental to the healing process when it was being used as a remedy in the holistic allopathic. No different than elderberry syrup. Elderberry syrup is a total acid drink. And parents and anti-vaxxers are giving their kids elderberry syrup. That's high amount of sugar. And then you have all the heavy metals, because they're adding in cinnamon and turmeric and honey and all of these other types of antibiotic properties / trace minerals / heavy metals. And they're force feeding their kids elderberry syrup. But it's not force feeding, because guess what? Everyone loves sugar. And so, you know, these children that are suffering from flus and colds, and they have all these symptoms, and the parents are just plying them with elderberry syrup. That's an acid drink. That's so different than taking a kombucha with fermented fruit, and the lactic acid is so overabundant, as well as the sugar is so overabundant. You really think it's going to help your child feeding the cancer, creating more lactic acid imbalances, causing more destruction to their cell structures? Okay, so you have to understand balance. We need a certain amount of lactic acid. The body produces it on its own in some ways, yes, but then if you do too much arduous type of exercises, it will then also cause damage to your muscles. But you need to have a certain amount of sugar in your body. You need to have a certain amount of nutrition. You really can't overdose on nutrition. You need micro and macronutrients. You need the electrolytes. Okay, and then your biochemistry will take in that specific recipe, like the J juice, and negotiate it with it. Okay, your body finally gets what it needs in a balanced way. You're not taking just probiotics in one drink and kombucha and whatever, and then doing the sole, and then trying to juice your cabbage and kale and think that that's going to do anything. No, because there's no cross-functional communication when you separate out the ingredients and drink as if they weren't connected. They are connected, however, they have to be connected through a chemical process. It's called bonding. They have to have a cross-functional communication. Chemistry is bonding. But in the allopathic holistic world, they do everything as if it was separate. They compartmentalize all the things that you need, and there is no bonding. There is no cross-functional communication. There is no chemistry going on. And so that's why you're seeing ineffective results in the allopathic holistic world. Now, the results are based upon the intention. They have no intention of really prolonging your life in an indefinite way. They're taking you where you're at and seeing if they can kind of buy you either 1 day or 5 to 10 years, if that, if you're lucky. Which some of you will not have 5 or 10 years. It may seem like, yeah, if you do this chemotherapy, you do this cannabis, you do this detox, it may buy you a few years. But you don't know how many other weaknesses you've already sustained. And obviously, simply changing your diet isn't going to really work at the root cause. No, because you still haven't fixed the issues to be able for you to break down the food to get access to that nutrition. So those are on chemotherapy thinking that, okay, I'm going to change my diet. Sorry, but you know, the chemotherapy, the fentanyl, the morphine, all the painkillers you're taking, and the cannabis and everything else that you're taking to combat your cancer is just further weakening your system. And then you can't really get access to the nutrition. So whatever nutrients you do get on a daily basis kind of keeps you going. But that other issues that you have, the lactic acid, the stealing from the minerals to keep your heart going, to keep your brain going, to keep your lungs going, to keep your everything else, the vital organs going, is still stealing from the rest of your body until there's nothing left. So at some point, so when you're doing all of your chemotherapy, all of your fentanyl and your morphine and your painkillers and everything else, your body in the meantime is stealing from your reserves until you have nothing left. And then guess what? This is when people die. They will stroke out, they have a heart attack, and then the chemotherapy and the cannabis and the detoxes just accelerated that process because it caused more biochemical triage. Because the body is going to do, number one, it's going to make sure the heart's going. It's going to make sure the brain's going. It's going to make sure the lungs are going. It's going to make sure that your liver is going and your kidneys. It's going to make sure the vital organs are taken care of first, at the detriment of your extremities and other systems in your body. And so when you do use spices and chemotherapy and cannabis and detoxes and pills, powders, and supplements, and all of your exercise regimes, you're going to then accelerate the body going into biochemical triage. And then this is where people have major issues that they can't come back from. So, so don't ferment your spices. I pointed out specifically in my book that garlic, when you break garlic down to an elemental composition, it's actually minerals. It's a conglomeration of minerals that are so pungent that it's so spicy. Minerals can also be very smelly. Have you ever smelled dead fish? And I've smelled from these water filtration systems where it smells like dead fish, but there's never been any fish at all in proximity of these water filters. Like I used a zero water filter, and then at some point the water smelled like freaking dead fish, like rotting fish. I'm like, what the hell? Well, it's a conglomeration of minerals. And that's some of the things that happen when you mineralize things. Okay, you have this certain smells, certain tastes. All your flavoring is minerals, different types of minerals being put together. And if you already have a mineral imbalance, or if you're over mineralized and you're like taking fermented, garlic or the kombucha, you're taking acid, and acids are made of a bunch of minerals that then have a specific chemical reaction to whatever it is in contact with. I mean, this is some pretty deep chemistry type of understanding, which does go over many people's heads. And believe me, when I get nasty emails from people who are like, oh my God, you're killing people. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing yourself. But there's no way I can take them from 0 to 60 in an email. I'm not going to go back and forth, convert anybody. Oh, same with sulfur from broccoli. Also, yeah. Or the eggs, Kevin, like the eggs. Eggs smell like, methane. Okay. All the different smells and the different tastes and the flavorings and everything, and all the pollutants, which really aren't pollutants, only on bodies that are weak. All the different smells out there are all just minerals and elements that are created in a specific chemical process. And then this is what you smell. And then you have a word for those smells. And then this is what creates our reality, and then creates how in which we interact or categorize or characterize our world that we live in. So yeah, you're like, I had some steak yesterday. Okay, I had some steak yesterday. It was a chuck steak. And I had caramelized onions, I had some mushrooms, I put in some Worcestershire sauce, and what else? And that is a massive amount of minerals and hormones and nutrients. And I took a little bit of a poop today, not a major poop today. I have no idea if I took out every single, I didn't have a lot of the steak. I gave a lot to my dog, who loved it. My husband had a big old hunk of it, but I had a little bit. So I noticed that today I'm not really that hungry. And my stomach is pretty flat. I don't feel any kind of I'm not farting, I'm not bloated, I'm not gassy. But my body is making use of that meat. Okay? And I'm not hungry. So I could see why Genghis Khan is able to have endurance and last a long time through fighting, because he was on a meat and milk plus then the vegetables and agricultural diet. Okay? Because you're getting so many diverse amounts of nutrients and minerals and hormones and all that stuff. that you don't need to keep feeding your body. What I've noticed that when I don't eat a lot of meat, I maybe eat a little bit of chicken, but even I don't eat a lot of chicken. Chicken is very bland. Okay. But I noticed that when I don't eat actual red meat, and I'm only eating pasta, and I'm only eating vegetables, I'm only eating rice and you know, fruits and whatever, that everything goes through me, but I'm always hungry. I'm always having to feed myself. What would happen if you can take a diverse type of food like meat, where it's not too much, not too little, but it keeps you so balanced where you can still have energy. You don't need to feed yourself as much. You're not pooping like crazy, but you're not bloated either. You're not brain foggy. You're not trying to manage all your symptoms with all these different foods, but your body's so well balanced, it's able to take the diverse food like a red meat and process it. Because I noticed that, yes, a couple weeks ago when I would poop a lot, I would be getting rid of the food that my body could still be using, and then I'd be hungry again, and I have to go feed myself again. What's up with that? There's something to the poop and the meat and the milk that keeps people going. They don't have to constantly be eating. See, that's what I'm seriously seeing now. That's what I'm seeing now today. And so, yeah, it makes sense why Genghis Khan was probably the stronger, obviously the stronger civilization than the Jin dynasty. Genghis Khan knew how to utilize the elements. Too bad he was too aggressive. I mean, I'm sure some of that meat made him way aggressive. There's certain, obviously, imbalances. And they weren't getting their adrenaline, but they were living a war type of lifestyle. When you're high on adrenaline, and of course, then you're eating meat too, and you're eating in milk and all that, which is fine. Okay, yes, Kevin, which is fine. You know, and they didn't balance out their adrenaline, but they lived a lifestyle where it was high octane. They had to have the endurance to be able to cover miles and miles and miles per day and fight and rape and pillage and take over and establish and then go to the next thing and fight and rape and pillage and take over and establish. And it's the same thing. And it's because of their diet. Right, Kevin. If you drink smoothies, then you're hungry every hour or two. Yeah, because it goes through, so your body processes so quickly and it needs more. Now you need something more substantial. So now I get it. Now and I really, because I've been watching how I feel and what I'm eating and what I'm eating. Now I'm not going to be going and eating like, steak every night. Now this is what thing my husband, I was saying, we're trying to figure out what our grocery list is and what we're spending and all this other stuff, right? My husband goes, why don't you just go buy Hamburger Helper? I'm like, I had a Hamburger Helper when I was like 18, 19. I haven't had a Hamburger Helper in like years. And I'm like, you know what? And I go look at the hamburger. I go down the aisle today. I was doing a little shopping today. And I usually spend between $50, to $100. I spent $50 today. But it's interesting. With that $50, if I wasn't buying the processed food, all of the fruits and the vegetables and the cabbage and the kale, all the different things that you put together to make a dish would cost about the same thing. So when I actually bought I got like some lunch meat and some cheese and Hamburger Helper mix, and then the ground hamburger, and then I got some Eggos. It was $55. So no matter what, your body either is going to have a biochemistry to break down all of those compartmentalized ingredients that you get in raw vegetables and raw fruits and all of that, making your smoothies and whatever else. And you're not eating meat at all or anything. And so, you're still deficient and you're still spending the same amount of money versus buying a processed food. So on a very well-balanced body that knows how to break food down and disperse and expel the excess and keep what it needs, you can buy processed food, and then your body will be able to negotiate with it without having imbalances. And it's still the same amount of money, $55 for processed food and fun foods that my body can still enjoy. But you have to get to a point of well balance. You can't try to do what I'm doing, where I'm drinking and eating processed food on a body that's imbalanced. Oh, and then Kevin goes, I've been eating meat every day since my last vegan revelation, and my muscles get bigger without working out. This proves meat has condensed nutrients if your body's able to break it down. Yeah. Yeah. And Sugar, you knock it off. I know you hate when I'm getting on Facebook Live, but you knock it off, Sugar. Stop it. She whines in the background. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that your body can break down all those fun foods and it can disperse what it needs, but you have to give your body a chance to heal. That's why you guys don't know really how much freedom you're going to have once you actually get everything well balanced within. I haven't had Egos in freaking years. I haven't had Hamburger Helper in freaking years. It's like going back in time. It's a trip. But for you to get that kind of access, that kind of privilege to now enjoy the fun. I eat potato chips. I eat, like the mesquite potato chips. I eat this. I mean, I have absolutely no discrimination, but as everything is balanced out, and if I feel that I'm getting backed up, which I haven't, then I'll drink the J juice. So it's like, so your body will let you know when to utilize J juice, and when that, and that's really the only time I feel like I need to use J juice. If I feel like, okay, I'm backed up, I need to keep things moving in my system because maybe certain foods kind of, stop up stuff because they're so like glutinous, then yeah, I'll go in and do a preemptive and drink the J juice to kind of keep things going. But it doesn't happen very often. And and if I'm not feeling bloated, and if I'm not feeling like, sluggish, and I feel light on my feet, then I won't need a reason to go and try to keep things going. But your body will let you know by its performance whether or not you need to do a preemptive strike with the J juice when you get your body well balanced. What I'm telling you is where you guys are headed to. Okay? What I'm doing now is letting you guys know where you're headed to. Right now, you guys can't afford to be eating processed food because your body can't handle it. So you need to have the jelly juice, which is a raw processed food. But you need to keep things relatively bland until you get your electrolytes and your minerals and your lactic acid and your nutrition all balanced out. And some of you are not doing it. And you're trying to reintroduce foods too quickly and it ain't working for you. And then I think, what did Krista say earlier? Taking garlic and onions out of my diet and doing J juice helped emotional stability. I found out now I can handle some, but take too much, I'm wonky and dizzy. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Wonder how I lived before, floating around like always frustrated with less clarity. And well, hey, we find ways to compensate for our deficiencies and or find ways to justify. Sometimes I had to go and just outright lie. I have the flu. I have the flu for the 5th time this year. I'm one of those lucky ones right now. I had PMDD, couldn't get out of bed. How do you explain that to your boss? You don't. So you make shit up. Okay, but now I don't have to do that. So yeah, I mean, Kevin, that's right. So glad we finally cracked the vegan. Yeah, because this is why Genghis Khan was able to cover so much land and so much territory. Because of endurance. Because meat is a data pack. Processed food is a data pack. Okay? So yeah, watch all your vegan and vegetarian friends that are wasting away, looking like concentration camp victims over time. Some people who aren't vegan and vegetarian have so many imbalances, are so skinny they look like concentration camp victims. Okay? So I'm telling you guys, it's about well balanced, about understanding how to heal and seal, so then you can process foods and eat processed foods, and your body will process everything accordingly. And finally, you'll be able to then enjoy all the diverse foods that are out there. Because I remember when I was like, damn, I can't go out to dinner with my husband. I can't do this. I'm thinking, and him and all the people that we hang out with, they like to drink, they like to smoke, which, okay, fine. They like to go out to dinner. They like to do this. And I'm like, I'm going to be living in a bubble. This is no life. And then after, you know, a year or so on the J juice, and I'm reintroducing foods, and I don't have all this mucus coming up, and I'm finally, my body's able to handle the diverse food supply, and I'm doing the J juice, doing the waterfalls, and still bringing in, you know, some of the reintroducing foods, but I never did it too early. But I knew when it was too early, because I was getting all the mucus stuff, and I felt sick. But I had to let my body heal. So this is why J juice is so important, and why the diet is so important. Bland, if you have over mineralized, which everybody is over mineralized, too much lactic acid, too much candida, you have to stay on the diet and do the J juice and make time for the healing process. You got to stop with the high octane lifestyle, you guys. Amanda and all of you guys that are doing your activism. You need to relax. You need to actually do the J juice and give yourself time to heal. Politics will always be there. You try to do both, you know what's going to win out? Your politics and all of your high octane lifestyle. What's going to lose out? You, because you're not taking time for yourself. When you have family obligations, you have all this stuff, yeah, you're going to have to basically take some time for yourself and do the J juice. No, I don't have mucus coming up for certain foods. Absolutely not. No, mucus only comes up when the body's trying to release. So I'll eat certain foods, or I'll eat, you know, whatever, let's say foods that have minerals, I may have to blow my nose. But you're going to have to do that anyways. Kevin, mucus is not a bad thing. It's fine. When you have become, that's fine. Mucus is not a bad thing. It's the body's regulatory process, because you can't figure out dosages. You don't want to live in a bubble, Kevin. Do you want to live in a bubble and think, oh, I have to now get rid of butter because I have mucus? No, mucus happens when you go outside and you breathe the air, because you're getting in specific minerals that you can't control. You think you can go and carve out pieces of air that's going to be so aligned where you're not going to have mucus? No, you can't control that. Mucus lets you know that it's releasing any excess. When I eat food, whatever it is, guess what? I'm able to negotiate that food, because my body is working what it needs. If I have to pee real quick, or during or right after, yeah, my body's releasing excess minerals. If I have to blow my nose eating foods, whatever foods they are, I blow my nose. I don't go like, oh my God, I had butter and now I can't have butter, so because I'm having mucus. No, having mucus does not mean that it's poisonous. It means that your body is trying to release any excess. I'm not triggered, but I don't want you guys to still come from the standpoint that mucus, even when you're well balanced, is a bad thing. When you have so much mucus coming up, when you're reintroducing foods back in your diet, you need to lay low a little bit. But when you get well balanced to a certain point, okay, then you're going to have mucus here and there. It's just going to happen. You walk outside, you're going to get mucus. When it's cold outside, you're going to get mucus. You're not going to go and avoid the. But no, I'm not triggered. I'm passionate, because I still want you to understand that your body has processes. If you take a shit, you think that you shouldn't be eating foods because you're taking shit because that's excess. No, you can take a shit because your body is going to take, you know, whatever it needs to, and then release any excess. You're not going to know how to lessen your shit, okay? How to lessen your shit by saying, okay, well, I'm not going to eat this kind of food because it won't give me as much shit as this kind of food. No, you're not going to do that. Just eat. Your body's going to tell you what you feel like, what you don't. When you're like, oh yeah, I feel like eating this. Oh yeah, I feel like eating that. Eat it. But that's when you're more well balanced. At this point in the beginning, you have to be discriminatory until you start seeing your issues get reversed. Okay? You have to be discriminatory. And then at some point, hey, it was the second year for me where I introduced, actually it was probably like well into my first year, I was reintroducing foods and then testing it out and seeing what happens. But when I start feeling really sick, when I started feeling sick from eating like the fried food from that bar, I stopped it until I got healed. And then yeah, when I, you know, and sometimes, yeah, there's certain foods that'll have more mucus than others because it has more minerals. It's not that it's poisonous. Butter isn't poisonous. Milk isn't poisonous. Even margarine isn't poisonous. But if you have more minerals than your body can handle, it's going to have to release it. So you have ways to release excess minerals or pathogens. And so that's what the mucus is. So when you guys are reintroducing foods too early and you get so much mucus, it means you already have enough minerals and it's releasing it. So when you have so much of it, it means you still have more minerals in your body than your body can handle. It can't take on more minerals. So that's why you're like feeling sick. Okay. So when you guys get a lot of mucus coming out and you're reintroducing foods too early, it means that your body still has all the minerals that it needs to work through and to heal. And you're bringing in excess minerals that the body can't handle. And that's why you feel sick. That's why you have all this mucus come out. And then you'll see less of it because then you don't have as many minerals that are going on to release. See, knowing why your body does what it does will then give you a clue on how your body keeps your minerals and your candida and your lactic acid all well balanced. It will do it on its own. You're not going to control the process. And then you're like, out of the blue, you're like, oh, I want a piece of meat. Out of the blue. That is your cells letting you know it needs hormones. It needs that advanced data pack. Some of you will try to fight against it because of your politics. But then when you have politics, it's going to get in the way of your biochemistry. That's why you got to, guys, relax on all of your activism and all your politics, because it's going to impede your biochemical processes to balance itself out. Okay. So anyways, I don't really get triggered. I just get like, I get passionate because I want you to get this. I want you to get this, Kevin. I want you to get this, Krista. I want you to get this, Michelle, and everybody that's watching me. I want you to get this so you understand how to read your body. So you understand how to interpret what your body is doing so you don't play the I'm in a bubble game, the discrimination game. Understand your biochemistry. Understand why mucus happens. You already have minerals and things and bacteria. See, mucus lets you know that you already have the balance of bacteria. The body already has enough of the bacteria, enough of the candida, enough of the fungus, enough of the minerals, enough of the salt, enough of whatever. So it's releasing it in a mucus form. Okay, that's it. And there you are, you're balanced. Symptoms is the body healing itself from potential imbalance. So, you know, when I wake up in the morning and I have a lot of mucus, I knew that I was exposed to a lot of minerals or a lot of bacteria or a lot of parasites. And then I blow it out my nose. And then guess what? I'm on with my day. Yeah, you're welcome. You know, I just want you all to get this. This is so important to understand. And then you don't have to be afraid of anything. You'll understand when you go outside and you have to blow your nose. Oh yeah, there's more stuff in the air that my body is taking in, but it's also releasing. So it's like walking through an atmosphere and your body is taking in and then releasing. It's like osmosis. Really, the Jilly Juice allows osmosis. You're taking in the data and then you take in what you need with the data and then it's coming out the back door. And there's probably illustrations that show what people do when they take in data and they're able to really negotiate their environment on a very smooth and effective and accelerated pace where they're not being stopped up by plugs and yucky stuff. So when you actually, with the ether, and you see that the ether and the person, you know, is walking through the ether, and the ether isn't like, there isn't like a bubble around the person. They're just in tune biochemically with their environment. It's like music. It's like poetry. It's like chemistry. Okay. That's how I want you guys to see how your body works. It needs to work in symbiosis with your environment. So the 5G goes in and you take advantage of the radiation, and then the excess radiation your body doesn't need, it goes right out the back door. And it happens on a continuous basis. And you take in the right elements, you take in all, you know, it's like music. It really is. It's like music. Okay? So, wow, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool. Literally, yeah. So, but yeah. It's great. So yeah, when I make that hamburger helper, I'll let you guys know. I'm like, oh wow. because it reminded me when I was 19 years old, Sunnyvale, California, the Kuwait War, and people were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, you know, what is it? Go to the military and do this because of the Kuwait. It's like 1991, 92 or something like that. Yeah. 89, 91, 92. And I'm eating hamburger helper. I still had a pooch. I never was able to get rid of that pooch as a teenager and even as an adult. I was always trying to deal with that pooch. I can't see my feet. It sucks. Finally got rid of that pooch. It's probably a poop plug literally in my body that finally was able to be released. All right. I have to rename this and call this biochemical music or something. All right. Mucus allows you to play the music from merging chemistries create biochemical music. I don't know. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.